There's a storm raging. It's almost like the wind began to pick up when Trayvon Martin got shot. It wasn't the first time that a dead black boy had been killed, was on the ground dying, but I'm talking about this storm. This storm. Not the Emmett Till storm, not the seasons of lynching storm, but this storm, this wind seemed to pick up around the time that Trayvon Martin got shot, like a kind of wind blowing, a wind of hatred and rage. Or maybe the wind started blowing, maybe this wind started blowing when President Obama got elected. Wind picking up, just that sense you could smell the rain. You know how you can smell the rain coming, sense the blowing, a new thing coming in, and then pretty soon the litter on the streets is spinning. The litter on the streets is spinning around the time George Zimmerman does not get indicted. And the storm is picking up, it's picking up. And there are women and trans and black bodies littering the streets of our cities and towns. There's a storm raging. There's a storm raging around race in America. We're not post-racial. We are in a hot, stormy, racial mess. It's so hard to even look at it, those of us who might like chasing storms. It's hard to name the names. It's hard to look at the statistics. It's hard to look at the whipping wind. It's hard to imagine the turmoil and the hate. It's hard to even wrap our minds around the reality of the largesse of the storm. It's not just about police violence. No, this storm is also about school to prison pipelines and little kids who get arrested for pulling somebody's hair or sassing the teacher. It's about school districts being the kind of planning ground for future prisons in the Bronx based on tech store. Oh, this storm is not just about police brutality. This storm is about infant mortality rates that are higher for little black children. This storm is about how HIV rates are still higher for African American women than anybody else in this country. This storm is about how if the unemployment rate is high, it's twice as high on average for the black community. Oh, this storm is not just about police brutality. This storm is about the reality and the ongoing sinister evil of racism in America that makes black and brown bodies an endangered species. There's a storm raging. And I, who am a theologian, cannot tell you why. I can analyze the construction of race for you with my psych degree. I can tell you that we made it up. I can tell you that it started when Thomas Jefferson had a suspicion that black people were less than other folks and exported that craziness across the oceans and a whole eugenic science got developed around race. I can tell you that it got to be about the economy, and so therefore we're going to harvest some black bodies off the shores of Africa and create a land built on cotton. I can tell you psychologically that racial identity is a fluid thing, and that's why a woman can want to be black, pretend to be black, and that's why some people can pass. And I can tell you that all of this is really about ethnicity and culture. And we made up a word called race. But does that answer the theological question about why the storm is raging? Does it answer the theological question about why racism seems to me that we can't get rid of it? I don't know. I don't know the answer to the persistence of vitriolic hatred. I don't know the answer to the persistence of a white supremacist kind of attitude that says, our lives don't count. I don't know the answer to the way that even filters out into anti-religious sentiment, such that Muslims are in danger and Sikhs can be shot when they're in their house of worship. I don't know the theological answer, but I know the question. Is God still in charge? That's my question. Is God still in charge? Somebody told me today we should be comforted by the fact that God is still on the throne. Okay. Is God on the throne, handling this, making this happen, causing this to happen? No, I don't think so. But I know that that's my question. Is God still in control when 9 people are at a Bible study and they don't go home because somebody comes in and kills them in a place that's supposed to be safe? Is God in control? What if we serve a God? What if we serve a God who's never, ever, ever causal of evil? Ever. Never. Like, despite what we learned in Sunday school. Like, despite that. Despite what we learned in Sunday school, what if God never, ever engineers evil, bad, violent, traumatic things? What if God never, ever puts God's hands on that? And what if instead, I'm just musing with you now, what if instead, like a parent who's raising a young adult, God stands back just enough, just a little bit. Like when you were 21 and you stayed out all night drinking, and your mom and daddy let you take the car anyway, even though they knew that might happen. Or like when you were 23 and you were beginning to fall in love with somebody and you were testing things and you came home to your mom and you said, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. And she said, you'll figure it out, baby. What if God, like a parent of a young adult, stands just a little bit back from humanity to see how we'll grow? What if God's control means to restrain from controlling us? What if the one who created us free, in her, his own image, what if the stuff that's inside us, that's the God-like stuff, what if that God-like stuff has to have a chance to flourish and grow up and become and develop? What if God, who can do anything, including stop the storm, doesn't stop it until we know we have the power to stop it? Jesus was asleep on the boat. Didn't he know it was raining and stuff? Couldn't he feel it rocking and rolling? Had he already taken his little anti-sick medicine? I don't know. It wasn't like we have a sense that he was a hard sleeper and didn't know the thing was rocking and rolling. Why did God let there be a storm at all? I think so Jesus could stop it. And I think so Jesus could stop it so that each of us who is created in the divine image, each of us who has a little soupçon of the holy in us, know that we too have storm-stopping ability. What if the only reason there's a storm is so we know how to stop it? What gets me through this time where I have to admit to you, I just have to tell you, I'm on the edge. I found myself yelling at an Amazon operator today because my Father's Day present hadn't gone through. Po baby, she got it. She got my, I'm so tired. My little black life is exhausted from working on Black Lives Matters. She got it. I was like, where are you? Ma'am, I'm in Costa Rica. Why are you in Costa Rica? I need you to help me now here in America. I'm so upset. I'm so devastated. I'm so exhausted, emotionally whipped by the stormy, raging racism in our nation. What gets me up in the morning is the possibility that we can do something about it. What gets me up in the morning is the possibility that we don't have to despair, that we don't have to be depressed, that we don't have to be downcast. Not forever. Weeping gets to last for a night, but joy is going to come in the morning after we mourn. Joy is going to come in the morning because we're going to get up together as a human family, and we're going to kick racism in the behind. We're going to end it. We're going to solve for it. How do I know this to be true? Because I see pockets of storm stoppers all the time. I see that after Oak Creek happened in 2012, the Sikh community organized themselves. They mourned, they cried, they wept, and they organized. They organized to get Sikh on the map. Do you know what a Sikh is now? You didn't before. You know what a Sikh is now. They organized so we would know they are not Muslims, they are Sikhs. They organized so that hate crimes against Sikhs are now reported to the FBI. And they organized around a concept that we would call love. And they call something like persistent optimism. Like, we are going to get through this. One of their grandfathers, they call Papa G, was one of the people who were shot many times in Oak Creek. And he still lives in a hospital near Washington. He can't move. He's paralyzed. And when the young people go visit and sit with him and pray with him, they pray with him. And they say, Papa G, are you living with persistent optimism? I don't want to butcher the Indian words for it. Does anybody know? Can you say it for me? And he can only blink. Once for no and two for yes, and he blinks. Yes, yes, I am living with this hope. In my suffering, I am living with this hope. That is called Storm Stopper. I happen to be a part of an interreligious, interfaith movement for justice. We gathered together 2-3 weeks ago in Atlanta. It was Muslims, Christians, Jews, atheists, UUs, Buddhists, and some witches. Yeah, there were some witches there. I was like, you go witches. And we were 90 people. All of us, turning our attention to how to end racism. People took a week out of their lives to go to Atlanta and work out a pattern, a process, a plan to deal with racism in America. White folks, First Nation folks, all kinds of folks. I'm gonna call them storm stoppers. When we were gathered together, some of us again in DC earlier this week, to talk once again about race with sojourners this time, 5 women woke up to the tragedy that morning on a Thursday morning and decided we were going to Charleston. We were going to have to go to Charleston. We didn't know why. We just knew we had to go, to take some love, to take some prayers. We rented a car, and we put ourselves on the highway from DC to South Carolina, stopped at one of our colleagues' houses, spent the night with Mom and Daddy, who got us chicken and food, and we slept and woke up and kept driving. So many people so many networks. Somebody was on the West Coast organizing a prayer campaign. Somebody was making sure that we had airline tickets so we could get back home. Somebody was buying a hotel. Reverend Barber, Dr. Barber of Moral Mondays, was giving us a blessing, a prayer. Somebody was organizing the tweeting campaign. Brand new baby in his arm. Isaac Luria was hecka slamming and making sure we had a strategy. I'm going to call it storm stopping. Storm stoppers are everywhere. A little bit at a time, organizing around anti-racism work in this country. Linda Sarsour, a Muslim, Palestinian Muslim woman, says the day Michael Brown lay in the ground dying, she knew that she had to work for Black lives to matter so that all lives could matter. She don't have to do that. She's a storm stopper. You, middle family, have been called by God to do a bold new thing on the earth. You are storm stoppers. You stop storms by the way you relate to one another during the passing of the peace. You stop storms by the way you raise our children together. You stop storms by the way you make music happen in this place. You stop storms by the way you send us to do activist work. We're going to have marriage equality in the United States because you're storm stoppers. We feed the people because you're storm stoppers. We're going to have a real living wage in New York because you're storm stoppers. And because you are storm stoppers, I know that these tragic losses are going to motivate us to keep on running the race until we win it. Maybe we serve a God who stands just a little back so the people of God can see a storm and find their way to stop it. It's going to take us all. This is not a black problem. This is a people problem. This is not a white problem. This is a show enough people problem. This is not a Latina problem. This is a people problem. This is a Pan-Asian problem. This is a First Nations people problem. This is our problem. Until every life in America matters, until immigration at the border is handled with love and compassion, until every child has everything they need to survive, until every man, woman, until every life counts and there's no more violence. One of my storm stoppers is here. Come on, Lindsay. Lindsay's my friend, and she got in the car. Y'all know the scene in The Color Purple. Get in the car, Celie, get in the car. Get in the car, get in the car, Lindsay, get in the car. There are 9 empty seats on this pulpit, and we cannot replace those lives, but we can stand up for them. Come on up if you're going to stand up for these lives. Come on, Lindsay. Come on up here. You going to stand for these lives? Come on, storm stoppers. Give us some stand for these lives, music, Dion. Rock it, girl. We are going to stand for these lives. If you can stand, stand. Stand for the lives. If not, we're going to make a little tableau. Come on, stand for these lives. Stand for these lives. Stand up. Come on, baby. Come over here and stand for these lives. Stand with me. Right up here. Come on. Stand for these lives. Stand for these lives. If you know this song, sing it. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with our harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the mercies rise. Let the stony the road we trod. Bitter the chastening rod. Nice like a prayer. Felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat, have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. Take it down like a prayer, take it like a prayer. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the flood. Out of our gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. All right, Deanna's going to keep playing, and I'm going to wrap this sermon up by deputizing you. In a minute, we're going to hear about how the storm is passing over. The storm is passing over because we're in it to win it. The storm is passing over because each of us who's heartbroken, each of us who is devastated, each of us who feels called by God is going to do something. One thing every day. Dispel a lie. Have a truthful conversation. Tweet something powerful and positive, like a picture of you in your multiracial community. Pray, pray, pray like it matters, because it does. And we can honor these lives. And we can create the world about which we dream. I know we can do it. Because Jesus knew the storm was raging before it happened and chose to stop it after his friends got involved. Hello? Come on, friends. Come on, friends. God needs us. God wants us. Amen. Hug somebody. Tell them you got it. Tell them you got it. You got it. You got it. This has been a tough week. It's been a tough week. Hold somebody's hand. It's been a tough week. It's been a tough week. And this right here is fabric. This right here is tensile strength. This right here is storm stoppable. Storm stoppable. There's going to be storms. It seems to be true. Bad things happen to good people. It's crappy. It just is horrific. And don't let anybody tell you it is God's will that 9 people are dead. Do not ever for 1 minute imagine that God sits around thinking, I'll pick off some people and see what that does. However, our God who is able seems to need us to intervene, seems to create enough space for us to do it, to make it happen, to work it out. And it's happening. So much has happened that people can't pretend it's not happening. And good people everywhere are beginning to do things, say things, write things, think thoughts, make coalitions. Storm stoppers. That's what we are. We need each other to survive. The storm is going to pass over. And God's going to use each of us to make it be so. So I lift a benediction on you in the middle of the room. I lift a benediction on you that you will feel today all of the appropriate grief and anger and rage, and you will feel tomorrow something else on top of it. Purpose. Purpose. purpose for you. Purpose. Purpose for you. Do your thing.